have a quorum, so I'll open the meeting of the Board of Selectmen and Board of Health, April 15th, 6:30. And first on our agenda is COVID-19 update by Deb and John. Go ahead, Deb.
All right. Well, I have nothing to report. We have, for the month of April, we have 0 positive cases.
Wow.
So we just got the second nurse onboarded with all of her state credentials and trying to train her, but there's nothing to train her on right now. So that's great news. I met with the school again this week and everything is fine at the school. There's really, nothing going on. I'm trying to catch up on some of my vaccine paperwork behind the scenes, but, and of course the clinics are keeping us busy. And of course, everyone's heard about the pause on the Johnson & Johnson. So we did have a clinic tomorrow for Johnson & Johnson, but we were able to get the Moderna in for all of those people. So we didn't have to cancel anybody. So we do have 2 full clinics that we're doing tomorrow with the Board of Health. The first dose Moderna, it's actually for a mosque in Lynn, and then the second dose for all of the teachers in the afternoon from 3 to 7:30. So hopefully the weather will hold out and people will be able to get to their appointments. But for our town right now, this is great news for us. So John, I don't know, do you want to add anything to that?
I'll add that while there have been no changes since March 22nd in the state mandate, in town we have a flurry of requests and plans for events and leagues and activities. And so as we go through those, people are reminded that today's approval is contingent upon the ability to sustain our good numbers now in town and the state staying at the phase 4 and step 1. So I've asked people to keep in mind to keep in touch and check in as we get closer to the start of their activities or their event. And I think it's been going pretty well.
So this is truly no news is good news day. So it's good. Hopefully we're getting over the hump here. Gene or Josh, any comments here?
No, just great news. So I got my second shot yesterday. So joining the growing ranks of vaccinated people. So it's great.
Great news.
Great. Tony, anything more on this?
No, it's great news. I'm putting the final touches on my annual report. I was talking with Deb earlier today, and looking at the timeline that we've been through, is pretty remarkable. It was this time last year we had just decided to postpone town meeting, town elections. We were unfortunately just getting into the cluster of cases that occurred at the Jesmond. We were in a stay-at-home advisory, so it's hard to believe that was a year ago. But for Deb to announce tonight that we have no cases, that's a sign of good things to come, I hope. So that's great.
Once again, thanks, Deb, and thank you, John. Let's get on to opening comments. I just want to first congratulate you, Tony, and your wife, Laura, on the birth of your new daughter. She looked beautiful. I don't know how you got that beautiful little outfit she had on within 1 hour old, but Adorable. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, Josh or Jean, any comments?
No, just that. Congratulations. Tony said he did all the hard work. But,
Yeah.
that's great news. So congratulations.
I'll second that.
Great. Okay, some public announcements here. Parking tickets are available on nahant.org. You need a valid registration. You need to make sure that all your outstanding bills are paid, taxes are due. Parking stickers are $10. There was a problem with the website apparently last week, but I think that's been taken care of. So anybody had a problem, get on there again, and you should be able to get it. Real estate bills are due May 3rd. Again, if you have any questions, call Brendan up at the treasurer collector at the town hall. Compost area is open for the season. The hours are Saturday and Wednesday from 9 to 3. Nahant resident sticker is required. You can go online, nahant.org, to see what materials are acceptable down there and what is not. Recycling for metal and white goods, TVs and computers will be held on the last Saturday of each month, starting April 24th, and will go through October 30th from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the Nahant DPW garage. Fees may apply, and you might check on nahant.org to find out. I think maybe some computers and those types of things, but most of the metal goods, it's free, and you just bring it down. DPW will help you unload it. Okay, the Charles Kelly scholarship applications being accepted. They were due April 16th. Tony, I hear we're not getting much of a response here. Is that right?
Oh, we haven't gotten any applications yet. So if any of you on the call know anybody heading to college, families with children heading to college, tell them to submit. It's really simple, and there's not much competition for it. So, it's
Yeah. It's $1,000, right? How much is it, Tony?
1,000. Yep.
It used to be 500. I remember when my kids were going to college, I told them to apply, and they said, "Dad, it's only $500." I went, "Really?"
Yeah.
Imagine
So,
kids now,
yeah. The way the cost of college, $1,000 is probably not that much, but it can help. It can help with getting
a
ready.
lot when it's coming out of your pocket.
Yeah.
Could we extend this to like the 30th? I know Josh recommended that we extend this, so that might be appropriate.
That's fine that's completely up to you. We like to announce the winner at town meeting. So we just try to give enough time for you guys to review, any submissions that we get. So it's completely up to you. That April, what'd you say, the 30th?
Yeah. Josh, does that sound good to you?
That's the date that popped into my head, 2 weeks beyond the original deadline. And, it's $1,000, and it's a very simple application. It's writing a short essay on what service means to me. I think that's the topic. And they're submitted anonymously. The Board of Selectmen review them and pick a winner, but we don't know who the applicant is. So certainly hope we see some participation.
Okay, so we'll extend that to the 30th, Tony.
Okay.
Town election is held Saturday, April 24th. The polls will open at 7 a.m. and close at 8 p.m. Voting will take place upstairs in the main hall. Absentee ballots are available. You must complete an absentee ballot application. They are available at the town clerk's office or upon request by email at ddumpy@nahant.org. Okay. We're going to go on to new business. We have some licenses to approve. The first one is a common victual license and entertainment license for R&B management. We have two motions here.
Right. I approve that the Board of Selectmen vote to approve the common victular and entertainment license as stands alone or in connection with a liquor license for the calendar year 2021 to R&B Management, 1 Willow Road, Nahant, Mass. And further, that the release of said licenses are subject to the approval of all inspections and payment of all outstanding fees, fines, and payments to the town of Nahant.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Tony, this is for Kelly Greens, I understand. How's the new management settling in? Are they getting ready to open the restaurant?
Yeah, they're doing great. We've had some capital improvements that we're working on over there. We got new windows put in the front. We have to do a HVAC roof unit replacement that we're currently in the process of getting quotes. But I stopped in there and it looks great, and I know they're eager to open their doors for food and beverage. So hopefully in the next month.
I look forward to it. I'm sure a lot of people do. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing, seeing none, all in favor?
Josh Antrim, aye.
Gene Canty, aye.
Mark Cullen and I. We have another motion on.
I move that the Board of Selectmen vote to approve the application for reconsideration for a new annual restaurant, all alcohol liquor license as applied for by R&B Management for the property located at 1 Willow Road, Nahant, Mass. The applicant has supplied us with additional information requested by the ABCC. All statutory requirements relating to publication and notice were duly complied with, including publication in the daily item, a local newspaper on March 18th, 2021. Notice to all persons deemed by the Alcohol Beverage Commission to be affected by the petition was given.
Okay, do I have a second on that?
Throughout the 1960s and 70s, microphones were
Josh? Can't hear you.
Sorry, seconded.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion on the motion?
So,
Dan Scripps on the call. Dan,
Yeah,
can we hear you?
I don't know. I think so.
Yep.
Is this a public hearing?
No, we don't need to do that again. The ABB's just sent back the documents citing a few boxes that weren't checked. I think R&B as an LLC wasn't identified at one point, so it's nothing substantive at all. It's just a matter of checking the box, some boxes of the many boxes that that were on the paper that were not checked. So it's nothing substantive at all. It's just a matter of checking a few boxes, adding a few more words. That's it.
Great.
all right,
Okay.
explanation.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor?
Josh Antrim, aye.
Gene Canty, aye.
Mark Cullen and I. Okay, with some minutes to approve.
Yes, I move that the Board of Selectmen vote to approve the Board of Selectmen meeting minutes from April 1st, 2021.
Second.
Seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Josh Antrim, aye.
Gene Canty, aye.
Mark Cullen and I. We have a number of event requests to approve. The first is Nahant Little League. Do I have a motion?
I move that the Board of Selectmen vote to approve the request for Nahant Little League from April 24th, 2021 to June 20th, 2021. Weekdays 5 to 7 p.m. and weekends 9 to 5 p.m. at the Little League field located on Flash Road.
Seconded.
Motion is made and seconded. Discussion. Tony, I'm sure all of these are COVID compliant. You've had discussions with them about this?
Yep, the part of the process before it gets to your desk is John Coulon reviews a written document from the organizer on how they're going to adhere to COVID guidelines. For the most part, something like this, there wasn't much change to the plan that they had put in front of us and we approved last year. But John could speak to any specifics if you have any questions.
I made a couple of suggestions, and I think that they are ready to go.
Great, thank you, John. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing, seeing none, all in favor?
Josh Antrim, aye.
Gene Canty, aye.
Mark Cullen, aye. Okay, we have a proclamation to read, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
What about the women's softball league?
That's coming. We can do that now and come back to the proclamation if you want. You want to make a motion, Gene, on the softball league?
Yeah, if you want, well, I motion that we approve the Nahant Women's Softball League from May the 3rd through August the 31st, Monday through Thursday, 6:15 p.m.
Seconded.
Motion is made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion?
Only that the league organizers have been informed that the Wall That Heals dates, which I think are late July.
They have.
Yeah.
They have. So no issue there. The month that week, I think we told them to avoid that Monday to Monday for setup and breakdown. So, and there's no issues.
Okay, great. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing, seeing none, all in favor?
Josh Antrim, aye.
Gene Canty, aye.
Mark Cullen and I. We have a proclamation to read from the Children's Mental Health Week proclamation. The town of Nahant has been asked to join Boston, Linfield, Saugus, and surrounding North Shore communities in issuing a proclamation in observance of Children's Mental Health Week, May 2nd through May 8th, 2021. This year, the national theme, Painting a Picture of Hope for the Future, supports recovery for our children due to circumstances around COVID. So, Tony, do you want me to read the proclamation?
I can, yeah, I can share my screen as well while you read it. Hold on. Here you go.
Okay. Whereas the citizens of Nahant, Massachusetts value their health and mental health of that and their families, therefore, they are proud to support observances such as Children's Mental Health Week, and whereas 20% of children and youth live with a mental health condition and 50% of all lifetime instances of mental illness begin before age 14, and even some children and youth with the most intense needs and some who are insured may not receive services. And whereas children and youth with mental health needs in elementary, middle, and high school are more likely to be bullied, absent, suspended, expelled, or fail to graduate. And whereas recognizing the early warning signs of mental health needs and obtaining the necessary support, assistance, and treatment gives children and youth better opportunities to lead full and productive lives at home, in schools, and in their communities. And whereas the involvement of partnership of family members in the assessment and treatment of children and youth is essential to positive outcomes. And whereas our nation's future depends on the health and well-being of its families and their children. And whereas Children's Mental Health Week was developed by families of children with emotional, behavioral, and mental health needs to focus on the needs of their children and family in celebrating this year's theme, Painting a Picture of Hope for the Future. It is fitting to increase public awareness among all town of Nahant citizens on this important issue. Now, therefore, town of Nahant does hereby proclaim March 2nd through the 8th, 2021 as Children's Mental Health Awareness Week. So, thank you, Tony, for bringing that to our attention. It is so important that we recognize this and, just bring it to the attention of everybody. I know a bunch of teachers that I've spoken to, some of my family that, share with me some of the concerns they have with some of the children, what they're going through over this past year. So it's good that you got this on the agenda tonight. Thank you.
Yeah, this year, a lot of, we're lucky in Nahant that our students have been able to attend school. A lot of communities that haven't been able to, especially inner city schools that don't have the space that we have. Going to school can be an outlet for children that come from troubled homes, and they haven't been able, to do that. And it's been noted by a lot of nurses that I've interacted with over this pandemic over the last, few months. I'm sure Deb, has heard it too, is, the mental health cases of our youth is skyrocketed. So, we were happy to be, reached out to us by the city of Lynn to jump on board with this. And I'm glad you guys just read that out loud. So thank you.
Just a point of clarification, it's May 2nd through the 8th, so upcoming. I think you said March, Mark, but
Yeah.
anyway, certainly a noble gesture to an important cause.
There may be events being organized in the neighboring communities that are focused on, children's mental health that we will be, we'll advertise as we get closer to those dates.
It is so important. I know that, Deb, you probably have a lot of involvement in this type of stuff. And I know my daughter, who is a pediatric practitioner, says her practice is it's really sad. So it's important. Mm-hmm. Okay. We have a few more event requests.
Can take this.
Okay, go ahead.
I move that the Board of Selectmen vote to approve the event request from the Coolidge Middle School in Reading, Mass. For a kite day occurring on May 20th, 2021 and May 21st, 2021 at Short Beach from 12:30 to 1:30 p.m.
Seconded.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion on the motion. They'll be parking, Tony. Are they coming with a bus? They go to the parking lot or the life-saving station?
In the parking lot, it's just one bus per day. They usually do this in one day, but they split it up in order to keep, the numbers down.
Okay.
It's something that they've done for many years, but haven't in last year due to COVID. So hopefully they get good weather.
Okay. Any further discussion on the motion? Seeing and hearing none, all in favor?
Josh Heffernan, aye.
Gene Canty, aye.
Martella and I. We have a Bailey's Hill dance request here.
I move that the Board of Selectmen vote to approve the event request for the Bailey's Hill Dance on Saturday, June 26th, 2021 from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. at Bailey's Hill in Nahant, Mass.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion?
So this is Sally Slagle is the organizer of this, is that right?
Yes.
One of her
Yes.
events.
Typically held in the town hall. Last year moved to Bailey's Hill due to COVID. Very well organized, very well run, and they're going to be doing it out there again this year.
Okay, great. Any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor?
Josh Heffernan, aye.
Gene Canty, aye.
Mark Cullen and I. Okay, we're going to ongoing business. This is the first item on this topic is accessory dwelling unit bylaw discussion. And I've asked to put this on the agenda. I think many people know that last year when I decided to run, I thought it was one of my priorities was to begin to address what I see as some of the housing needs in the Nahant, and in particularly how they affect the elderly, but also how the lack of housing opportunities for younger people who want to stay in Nahant but can't because of market forces and such. So Dan and Tony will join me on this. This is just a beginning of discussion that I hope will take place over the coming year. This is not intended to be at this year's town meeting, subject or matter of subject at this year's town meeting, but it's a beginning of a discussion about addressing some of the town's housing needs. I think many of you know that Nahant is probably one of the most aging communities in the Commonwealth. It's getting more and more difficult. There are many elderly people or people who are approaching elderly age that are living in large homes. They want to stay in the heart. There's not many opportunities. And I'm thinking that I've been reading a lot about accessory dwelling unit bylaws. And this is something, and Dan Script will talk about a little bit in more detail. Well, it's one tool that I think we could use in helping address some of those needs. And basically what it allows, let me just say this, let me put a frame around this. Nahant is zoned as a single-family residential community. There are no multifamily homes in Nahant unless the home was a multifamily prior to 1960 when the zoning bylaws were enacted, and that home maintained those apartments without interruption since then. So in essence, technically, we are single-family residential community. We all know, though, that there are many apartments in Nahant. Whether they are so-called legal or illegal. I think once we look at this law, we can begin to address some of those zoning issues, but we can also address some of the housing issues that come along with that. I think there are a lot of benefits with this. A lot of communities are adopting this. I know Swampscott adopted accessory dwelling units bylaw last year. I think Marblehead did also. If they haven't, they're in the process of it. Most of the coastal communities in Essex County, Hamilton, Beverly, Manchester, those areas have all adopted these bylaws, as long as many other communities. So with that, Dan, maybe you could give an overview of what this is, and then we can start developing a procedure to look at this in more detail over the next several months.
Okay, Mark, well, you were hit the nail on the head. This is an attempt to combat the national housing crisis, which actually goes far beyond the Commonwealth. It's actually nationwide. And this was the subject of the new housing choice law that came out a few months ago. In short, it basically gives the town a simpler way to legalize, so to speak, apartments such as like in-law apartments and things like that. Technically speaking, they're called accessory dwelling units. That's the legalese term of it. And there are really three requirements. The one is that this accessory dwelling unit, or ADU as it's usually called, needs to maintain a separate entrance, whether it's interior or exterior. It needs to be no larger than half the floor area of the principal dwelling, or 900 square feet, whichever is smaller. So an ADU can be no bigger than 900 square feet. And a town or a city and town can apply additional restrictions with regard to size, owner occupancy, and short-term residential agreements. And we've seen this. I know earlier you contacted me, Mark, and talked about Newton. Newton put some restrictions on their accessory dwelling units. It was kind of creative. They put a restrictive protecting historical houses. Shrewsbury added a protection regarding owner occupancy, saying that the bylaws indicate that an owner needs to be in either the principal or ADU. And Barnstable is considering ordinances regarding ADUs that will limit rental agreements for at least a year, which is to say there won't be any short-term sort of agreements regarding ADUs. And I know in speaking to the Newton solicitor, she had concerns about Airbnb's becoming a big problem in Newton as a result of their ADU bylaw or ordinances never happened. Instead, what did happen is the registered ADUs allowed the police chief, in our case, of course, Chief Dwyer, or also the fire chief, in our case, Chief Palumbo, to be more educated as to where these dwelling units are. So in case they are responding to some sort of emergency event, they know that there are heartbeats in this particular part of the building or even a separate building. So it has that effect as well as increasing homes to folks that maybe can't afford the big houses or the larger spaces. So that's it in a nutshell. What the new law allows town meeting to do is by a majority vote, not a 2/3 vote, which is typically the standard for a zoning amendment, by a simple majority vote to allow an attached ADU by as of right with the majority vote, or also as a majority vote, they allow a detached ADU pursuant to a special permit. So that's it in a nutshell. And the easy takeaway is it just provides more housing to folks that otherwise may not afford it in cities and towns around the Commonwealth.
Dan, are parking requirements impacted by this?
I'm sorry?
Parking requirements?
No, they would still apply. And if we were concerned about that, we could make sure our language that we adopt, if any, includes that to ensure that parking will still be required pursuant to the remaining bylaws that we already have.
Okay.
The same thing came to my mind, Gene. There's some pretty congested streets with on-street parking, and we have to be careful to not add to that problem.
Yep. Thank you.
But as Dan said, that most communities who adopt ADU bylaws customize them in a way that addresses the needs of the community. And it's very flexible. All communities are not built the same, and some have other issues, different issues. And the nice thing about this is that the town can sort of customize this bylaw to meet its needs. Another thing that I think it does address is, it essentially addresses the so-called illegal apartments. It also allows inspectors and our health inspector to go in and make sure that these units are in compliance with code and sanitary codes. So I think that's also important. Again, this is just the beginning of the discussion. I hope to look into this a little bit more. Tony, maybe at some point we can set up a small little committee that we could work on together to take a deeper dive into this. You may have some comments.
Yeah, I love the idea. I think it's over the next year. I think housing's a big goal of ours to take a look at those issues and find creative ways to improve upon it. I would love to be part of the committee, or to be to promote it as much as possible. I also think that what you just said there too reminds me a little bit with our Airbnb issues in town. It's the same mindset, is that you want to make sure that these housing units are safe for those that are staying in them. If we can create some type of regulations that do that, I'm all on board. So thank you for bringing it forward.
Yeah, and just sort of a side note, because when I'm thinking of the housing needs, I think first of the elderly. And Tony, I know we've had some side conversations about the possibility of opening up a discussion with the Housing Authority and looking at some additional senior housing and some locations for that. It's a little bit premature to get into the weeds with it, but I think there's some opportunities there, particularly in back of the Spindrift, where we could take a look at that.
Absolutely. And the way I look at that is, it jumps right into the needs that we have in our Council on Aging facilities. A third of our population is 65 plus. And, Council on Aging does an unbelievable job. It more, you tend to get even older residents involved in that. But there are things, there's more programming, more recreational opportunities, more things, housing and a place for people to gather, for that portion of our population, I'm all for it. I love the idea of exploring that and seeing what we can do.
After town meeting, maybe we could just get in touch with the housing authority and perhaps have a kickoff joint meeting and begin this discussion.
Yeah, definitely.
Great idea. Great idea.
Okay, well, more to come. Stay tuned on this. Josh or Gene, anything else on this subject?
Nope.
Okay. All right, thanks, Dan, for looking into this for us.
Happy to do it.
We'll be doing the contract next, so we holding that for some.
Yeah, we're holding off on that. We had some last minute changes to
Edits,
consider.
yeah.
But just generally speaking, we're looking to negotiate with Tony, the town administrator, to renew his contract for another 3 years. And we're just in the throes of that. It's not due anytime soon, but we're trying to get this done sooner rather than later so we can start looking ahead at other things.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement with it. There's some editorial things we need to get through, but okay, we'll put it on next week, next time. We're not talking about waste management contract renewal yet, Tony?
Right. We should have gotten the contract earlier this week, but we hadn't gotten it yet from Waste Management. We've negotiated the terms of the agreement. We're just looking for the language. So as soon as we get that, Dan Scripp will review it. And I talked to our contact over there today, and he said, he apologized for not getting it to us earlier this week, but he assured me that it would be ready for our next Board of Select meeting.
Okay, great. Sounds good. But we have some approvals for expansion of premises.
I move the Board of Selectmen vote to approve the application submitted for temporary expansion of premises as presented and as approved in their original liquor and common victular license applications until November 1st, 2021 to the following: Nahant Knights of Columbus Building Association, Inc., 1 Relay Yard, Nahant, Mass., and Nahant Country Club, 280 Nahant Road, Nahant, Mass.
Seconded.
Motion been made and seconded. Discussion?
So these are temporary expansions, and as the documents look like they're all outside expansions. Did I interpret that correctly, Tony?
Correct.
So
Very similar to, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I said just no change to the buildings in any way.
Correct. These are temporary authorizations of expansion, direct result of COVID and the limitation of number of people that can be indoors. Something that we did last year, authorized by the governor, and we have that authorization to do it again this year.
Okay, any further discussion on the motion? Seeing hearing none, all in favor?
Josh Edvermy.
Gene Canty, aye.
Mark Cullen and I. Next on the agenda is preserving East Point. I've got nothing at this point. Josh or Gene?
No.
I guess I'll just
Go ahead.
I guess I'll just remind people that may not have heard that we revised the wording of the warrant articles that will be voted on at town meeting May 15th to require that the $3 million in private donations are available in advance of any action. In other words, if we don't have that $3 million, nothing happens. That was stated explicitly to address some concerns that have been raised about what happens if you don't get that money. And the short answer is, if we don't get that money, nothing happens. Additionally, we changed the words to require the use of Chapter 80A. That's the number 80 and the letter A, which is one of the two choices for eminent domain takings that allow, well, what happens is a panel of three ultimately determines the value of the property. And at that point, Nahant can either proceed with eminent domain or back out if the price is too high. So that addresses the concern of what happens if the price goes too high for us to afford. I also wanted to remind people that the funding that is being asked of Nahant taxpayers is limited to the $1.5 million 30 bond through the Community Preservation Act funding source, so separate from the general fund. So that is the full limit of exposure to the taxpayers of Nahant. So for those that didn't hear that last week, just wanted to refresh memories.
Thank you, Josh. Good summary. Appreciate it.
I think if I could just add to that, I think the level of discussion and the frequency out there in the town has made it a lot easier for people to understand exactly how this works. It's starting to come around.
Yeah, I think so, Jim. But great, thank you. Town administrators report.
I just wanted to talk a little bit, about town meeting and the preparations that we have going on. Last year, we had town meeting down at Flash Road. That's where we'll be again, behind the fire station in the park. We had about 80 people from town come to town meeting. So, a lot of folks who come to town meeting this year, it's going to be brand new to them. It's going to take a little bit longer to get checked in. You do have to wear a mask. We're going to have seats spread out as best we can to help with social distancing. We do have a tent, quite large tent that we believe will be able to get, all of the chairs underneath the tent, and it's open air, so it should be safe. We are expecting this town meeting is essentially a double meeting. Last year we eliminated a ton of articles from the warrant to keep it as quick and brief as possible. So we have about, our typical articles plus another half. We're expecting this meeting to go for 2 days, Saturday and Sunday. And so I just want to, make sure that folks know that, what we are, looking at for that weekend. It's going to be a big weekend. It's going to be a long couple days, but there's a lot of important items on the warrant, including, 2 subject matters that have been, probably the focus of discussion, at the forefront of discussion in the town, probably hotter issues over the last, compared to the last 10 years. 2 very big issues with Coast Guard housing and eminent domain. But we also have a very important omnibus budget that focuses on public health. We have, different types of borrowing articles and policies that we're going to be taking a look at. So we have a lot on the agenda, and I just wanted to let folks know that warrant is posted on the website. You will be getting your book 7 days in advance. I will be hosting 2, maybe 3 info sessions ahead of town meeting on Zoom like this, just to brief people as best as I can of the different warrant articles that are on. Not in a way to persuade people one way or the other, but just to provide, background information so people are prepared for town meeting. Of course, we want to get through stuff as fast as possible. I did check with Dan's script, if we get through those two big items on the first day and we're there really late, I have a little bit of a concern about how many people show up the next day. So I checked with Dan about our quorum amount. Last year, we voted to reduce our typical 75 resident quorum to 15. Is that right, Dan?
That sounds right, yeah.
So that's still in place. So, if for some reason we had less than 75 people show up on Sunday, we'll be covered as long as we have, 15, which with the FinCom and the Board of Selectmen, we have it. So, let's see. I also just wanted to, commend you, the Board of Selectmen, the CPC and the FinCom for, the countless hours that they've been putting into the preparations for this town meeting. Again, like I said, this is a workload twice as much as our typical years. And, I'm very appreciative. We're very lucky to have such dedicated, intelligent people on these committees. And, I'm just very grateful for all the work that they've done. I just wanted to give them a shout out and a thank you.
Hey, Tony, are we looking to move those articles around so that the two most important come up front?
Well, at town meeting, anybody can motion to take something out of order, but the warrant is closed at this point.
They're looking at the moderator at this point.
Yeah, so we're not going to change the order as far as the way that they're listed in the warrant. And, to me, I think that there's the omnibus budget, the items that come before those are crucial to, our way of, being able to operate as our town government. So, for me, I prefer to have the articles that are in front of them be heard first, but the only way that would change would be a motion on the floor at town meeting.
It's just a question I've been asked.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Tony, thank you for all your work, particularly with all the stuff you're going through with your family and COVID and everything else. I mean, amazing, amazing job. Well done.
I appreciate it. We have a great team, but it's my job, and the volunteers are doing this on top of their job, for free. And everybody, and like I said, I mean when I say, when I talk about the folks that are on these committees, the conversation that's being had at CPC, at FinCom, going through the details of the budget, going through the details of, Airbnb, local hotels tax, the planning board's looking at the marijuana bylaw right now, just the conversation we have on a nightly basis is always extremely, intelligent, inspiring. We're very lucky to have the people that we have. So, and they're going through a lot, just putting in countless hours right now. So I just wanted to commend them for that.
Thank you, Tony. Okay, let's see, citizens forum.
So before we do that, Tony, can you mention something about the transatlantic cable?
Oh, yeah.
Coming up in the Rotary there?
Yeah, so this is it's to be honest, I have to do a little bit more research into it. Essentially, the reason why it's in front of the town of Nahant is because where the landing spot on the Rotary actually falls within the town's boundaries. So it's a the transatlantic cable comes across the northern part of the Atlantic, comes down the East Coast, and lands right at the Nahant Rotary. So there'll be an underground conduit or vault where then it will, I believe it continues down the Linway. So much like a telephone pole, owned by National Grid, The town gets paid kind of like a property tax or a mitigation payment or a pilot payment for that. And we will be, seeking that type of compensation as well. But it won't have any type of negative impact on, the traffic patterns or, anything. You won't even, of course, there'll be some construction impact during construction, but once the project's complete, you won't even know it's there.
Yeah, it's all subterranean.
Yeah.
I mentioned it to Tony, this began when I was serving as town administrator, I think in 2008. And the location of as Tony said, it's a vault, and it's a big vault, but it's a vault underground. I believe it was going to be behind the backstop at the entrance of the maintenance facility, the DCR maintenance facility. That may have changed, I'm not sure. And then it was going to go to the building they built across the street from Lynn Tech about 15 years ago was to house where that cable eventually goes. So as Tony said, there is some sort of payment to the town because technically it's on town property. And I think at the time it was like $15,000 a year. And there would be at that time, there was no change in the causeway or rotary traffic or anything.
Right.
There's also the Nahant Garden Club decorated doors tour on May 2nd. I think you or Kristen has advised them of the COVID protocols, or maybe John, but that's happening. It's all outside. People are given a map of the doors that are decorated and stroll around town and look at them from the outside. I don't know if there's anything to add to that.
Just that, the garden club has already done an amazing job planting flowers, around town. The flower boxes and, I know they're continuing to do work, but it looks great already. So thank them as well for all that work.
They do a great job.
Yeah.
And one more thing, which is all of a sudden escaping me. Oh yeah. Just people might want to know that the Coast Guard Committee is holding a public information session.
Yes. I'm sorry. Yeah. So that was Coast Guard Design Development Advisory Committee will be having a meeting Wednesday night at 7:00 on the 28th. So not next week, but the following, where they will present through Zoom and we'll broadcast it on the cable TV channel. The work and progress that they've gone through over the past couple of years and, what they're recommending at town meeting. Again, just to make, not to persuade voters one way or the other, but just to have people prepared as much as possible going into town meeting. And then my informational sessions, like I said, that are going to be, I'm going to do 2 or 3 of them will come after that, the week of the 3rd and the week of the 10th. And then town meetings, the 15th. Town meeting's only 4 weeks away. So it'll be upon us any very soon. So, and just other things on my radar, after we get through town meeting, we have Memorial Day coming up. We're hoping to do a COVID-friendly miniature ceremony at the cemetery on Memorial Day, but we're not going to be doing the typical Memorial Day parade, unfortunately. And then the month of June, we're really going to be focused on getting Veterans Park, the Lowlands area, ready to go in advance of the wall that heals. So the month of June will be very busy making sure that we have everything in line and planned properly. And the wall that heals comes the second week of July. We haven't made a decision yet about July 4th. As far as fireworks celebration goes or road races like we typically do. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's something that we're going to be doing, but we're staying in touch with, our neighboring communities and what guidelines are coming out from the state as far as what could be done. And we'll just continue to provide updates on that as we get closer. So that's what we have on that's kind of what's on the plate for the next couple months.
Thank you, Tony. Anything else, Josh? No?
No.
Okay, citizens forum?
Hey, Mark, it's Michelle.
Hey, Michelle.
Just a quick question about the annual town meeting, because a few people brought this to my attention. Will the Council of the Aging have their van available, and what services will be provided to people who, for our elderly people, may want to leave their car at home and attend the town meeting? And will there be options if they don't attend it? At 12, can they come at 1? Can they come at 2? And are there going to be those types of arrangements? I don't know, like an Uber to town meeting or something. I'm not trying to be cheeky, but just asking for a friend who doesn't normally use technology.
Yeah. Tony, help me out with this.
So well, for folks who would be driving, there'll be handicap parking, elderly parking available right in the main lot. Everyone else will be asked to park over at the Johnson School or park along Flash Road. We were provided a couple golf carts last year to help get folks from, elderly, get them from their cars over to the tent. And we did have the bus available. I appreciate you making that comment, Michelle, because I'll add it to my list to connect with Linda. We did have that set up last year, I believe, so we'll seek to do it again. We're a little bit limited on, how many folks we can put in the bus at a time, but I don't see why we couldn't, do shifts, picking folks up and dropping them off. The meeting starts at 12. Of course, people can get there, they don't have to be there right at 12. They just may miss, articles beforehand, before they get there.
Thank you. I'll let her know.
Hello, I have a question. Hi, question, please. Just Dan, someone had asked about the order of the articles and potentially voting to change them, and you had started to say something. Is there some special consideration other than the town meeting accepting a motion to rearrange the articles?
I know of no special considerations. I know it's a moderator's call at the end of the day. The motions can be made. I have not looked at the rules. I usually review them before every town meeting. We haven't done that yet. But I do know that the moderator has a key role in that process.
Okay. Just town meeting time says it's based on the vote. He can say whether it's a majority or 2/3 in special circumstances. But
yeah, our bylaws though address our charter. I think which ones they address the issue as well. I think so. We will be ready at town meeting. Don't worry about that.
I think you're right, Kev. I think your interpretation is correct, Kev.
Okay. No, thank you.
Okay, anything else? All right. We have a motion to adjourn.
So made.
Seconded.
Adjourn made and seconded. All in favor?
I'll say aye to that one.
Gene Canty, aye.
Mark Cullen and I. Okay. Good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Good night. Thank you all.
Aye.